There'd be beasties in there.
Good morning everybody and welcome back to WA UK. Right, where have I been? What am I doing? Where am I up to? Right, I set off on Friday to meet some friends up at the Lake District with Doggo. Doggo's just down here out of shot at the moment, you can't see him. And we went to the campsite that I announced that I was going to be refurbing the trailer. I put a link just up on the right hand side of the screen, and if you haven't watched that video you can go and give it a quick watch and then you can be up to speed about what's going on. So I took the trailer, obviously the trailer's been refurbed now, so I took the trailer up there to do the big reveal as I promised in the video. The problem is when we got there it was slightly busy, and as it's bank holiday weekend this weekend it just got busier and busier, and with it being a public campsite the last thing I wanted is to start walking around with the camera poking it in families' faces. You know, there's children, there's dogs, there's people's number plates, and people can get a bit funny. So I thought, well, we'll stay a couple of days, we'll just have a bit of a relax, and then I'll just head to Camp Spee, which is where I did my Easter camp, which I'll put another link above. If you haven't seen my Easter camp you'll get a bit of a look around this field. It's also the intro to the channel. And yeah, set up here and then I can give you the reveal here. So I'm really sorry it's not got the serene sights and scenery of the campsite in the Lake District, but I'm going to be able to give you a hassle-free look round for as long as I want and not have to keep dipping the camera down as there's a child walking past or something and I don't want to upset any parents. So without further ado, first and foremost you will notice a colour change. I went for an olive drab, a NATO green kind of colour, because it was kind of a bit of a brown colour before. The awning hasn't changed much. I've changed the way it mounts to the trailer because I wanted to get rid of a bit more metal from up there. So up at the top there used to be a bit of metal very similar to this just up over there. I got rid of that and I've put some little sections with some hinges on, so I can hinge it, I can set it up on the floor, or I can have it as a lean-to, or you know, I can switch and swap. I wanted it as modular as I could get it. I have got a side on just simply because as sun went down last night, I had a couple of visitors, we sat down, had a bottle of wine, had a bit of a chat, and I decided to put side up after they'd left just for a bit of shelter and just to stop the wind coming across, and I pulled the fire in. It was lovely and warm. I didn't have the two sides on, so there was no chance of carbon monoxide poisoning or anything crazy like that. You'll have noticed now the big silver box, what used to be the big silver box, is now black. Inside the box I keep all my dirty items, so I've got burners, Dutch ovens, all the pots and pans and cast iron I use to cook on the EcoZoom live in here, as does the EcoZoom, as well as all my power now being mounted on top. I've got my solar controller, obviously everything's fused, and a power inverter just to charge the camera's battery that I'm using at the moment because it can't charge off USB. So that's what lives in the silver box, and that's the silver box is no longer silver, it's now black. A big addition to the to the trailer is this turret-like thing on top, which is just a bit of house waste pipe. It comes in about, I don't know, not 8 foot, sorry, it comes in about 10 foot lengths when you buy it, and it has a flared end for putting a bung in. So that usually lives on there like that, and I have a tent peg that goes straight through the middle that holds the lid on securely. And all that lives in there is spare bars for the awning and the bars that are on it at the moment. And just when I'm in transit, if they're wet or if they're mucky or whatever, I can just put them up there and just peace of mind they're not going in the trailer. Also, it can have a secondary use. I mean, if I put a tap on the other end, I can have it as a solar shower as well. It's not been developed for that yet, but I am aware that I can do that, and the option is there if I need to use it. So I wanted it to be multi-purpose. Again, the wheel arches have been painted a matte black just to match the box. The lid up here is now black, as is the bottom side, which always was, and then I'll take you around to the kitchen. Let me zoom out a little bit. Right, so the kitchen, last time you saw it, we just put these sides on and we'd edged it nicely, and we just got the counter in. We didn't have the fridge in, so the fridge now is on, as mentioned in the build video. You know, we've got a little lock that's not wanting to come out, and it is on runners, so it can pull in and out. I don't know if you can see that, my dodgy camera work, but it is on runners, so it pulls in and out. It's plugged into the little control panel here, so we've got USB, we've got the fag lighter, and we've got the light switch. There's the light. It lights half this side, half that side, so if I'm searching for food, as last night, I ate my tea at about 11 o'clock at night. It was dark, so yeah, stained the countertop, stained all the edging. I even stained the cupboard doors, which are open at the moment. So there's your cupboard doors. Stained them. I then vinyled the sides, because these were stainless steel, but they were a bit scratched and tired looking. So I vinyled them just to hide them a little bit. Also vinyled the front there just to stop any splashback and fat going on it. And I also vinyled. I was going to put wood inlay on this door, and I was going to inlay wood, but I thought, well, why make it heavier? Because it's obviously on my poles. Why make it heavier? So I just vinyl inlaid them as well. I've got plenty of vinyl left, because I am aware I'm not the best person for doing vinyl. I've got a little rip there, and I've got a few air bubbles. I'm not fussed about it, to be fair, because I've got plenty of vinyl to redo it when it starts dropping off. But yeah, that is how the kitchen looks. I'll give you one final very dark pan on the camera screen. But yeah, I'm very, very happy. The other thing I need to show you about the kitchen is, so the counter, I mean, I showed you the pantry many a times when I was building it, but now the counter's got a line down the middle there, so it's in two halves. So when I'm cooking and I need some potatoes, all I need to do is slide that forward, and that's where potatoes and other pantry items live, onions, candles, my washing basin. My washing basin, once I pull this off, this just pulls off this countertop. My washing basin flips round and just sits in, so I can do all my washing under here as well. Everything obviously measured and planned, and I need 2 hands to do that, so I'll do that in a minute. Right, then we'll take you through to the bedroom. Obviously you've got the door, nothing changed on the door. The door is as was. So the bed is as you saw it last time. Let me just turn up big light. The bed is as you saw it last time. It pulls out, it rocks and rolls. I've had some really nice cushions upholstered, which I mentioned in the video. Can you see that? Let me zoom in a little bit. So there's a big one that goes on this side, and there's a little one that goes up when you push the bed in, and it acts as the back. If I remember, I'll put a little picture in just above, and you can have a look. And if I remember, once I've packed it away later, I'll show it to you. I have the shelf up there, which has got my iPad on it last night because I was watching a movie in bed. Let me turn this light off, it might work better. And then I'll turn these lights on. So I've got a little panel here. You can see the join in the material just there on the wall. But I've got a shelf, a deep shelf here, which I put personal belongings, and there's also another charging panel here. So I've got some USBs, and I've got a cigarette lighter just here, behind here. So I can put my phone and valuables and cameras and drones in there, and I can have them charging, and I can leave the door open, and passers-by won't be able to see them just lying about. That was the idea behind that. And I've got some backlighting. So at night time when the door's shut and, you know, I just want a bit of mood lighting, I just have these lights on, which are just behind there, and they light up the wall. The camera's not going to pick it up perfect, to be fair, but it lights up the wall nicely, and at night time it lights up all that back section of the trailer. But yeah, that's in a nutshell the reveal. Now, as before, I have got all the sides for the trailer. I can make it modular. I can park my Land Rover here, and I can have an even bigger section of tarp coming over and attaching to my Land Rover, so I can have all this as seating area. Oh, look at that. Helicopter. The other thing I can do is I've now got the same sort of hinge system I have up here for my awning. I don't know if you can see that because I'm holding the camera a little bit funny. I've got on this side as well. So there's one of the hinged systems there. So you just push the pole on, and then you can hinge it at any angle you want. I ran out of them, so I haven't got one on this end, but I have just got a right angle at this end. So I can have another awning coming out here, 8 foot long, and then another, I've got plenty of these angled ones on that corner going that way for 8 foot, and I can have plenty more awnings just attached to it. So the awning system on the trailer is just massively modular. I can make its footprint absolutely massive and to accommodate quite a lot of people. I'd rather not do that because the setup does get a bit more technical. I mean, I can have this basic setup like you see here up and down within sort of 10-15 minutes, as I did last night, because I got here as the sun was going down last night. I did film this last night as well, which I'll put a little annotation just above and a little picture, and you can just watch what I was doing last night. But I decided not to use that and do a bit more of a thorough walk around this morning because it was very rushed last night. But in a nutshell, that is how it looks. Very, very happy with it. There are a few more modifications that I'm going to make, and I'll tell you, I'm not going to keep you waiting this time. I'm going to get a laser cut switch panel for my switches in the trailer because I'm not happy with the switches. They're a bit wonky. They were an afterthought, and to be fair, the pot was running a little bit dry, so I couldn't afford to buy the switches. So I'm going to buy a switch set. You can buy them on eBay for about 18 quid, 20 quid. Has 6 switches in and another couple of charging ports, and I'm going to put it in place of the switches I've got in there. I'm also going to make a cage system that goes over my black box now. So there's going to be a cage system that goes up and over, and it's going to weld to the chassis. So it's going to be perfectly safe. It's going to be made out of steel, and it's going to have runs going up. So you can put the wolf boxes or the front runner boxes, attach them to the top here, and I can reach them for firewood, etc. But B, you'll have a ladder to get onto the roof rack for if I need to use the roof rack for storage. So that's going to be put on sooner or later. It's probably going to be a bit later in the year, maybe early next year, but that is going to happen. That is going to be a modification. And something I've been toying with the idea of for a long time now is changing the back doors to open barn style. So opening in the middle, 2 separate doors, because then you'll have shelter. I'll have the awning that fits on the top, which is why I fitted those runners on the top, just so I could fit an awning over the top. And having some sort of counter that drops down that locks the doors into place. I'm sure if you've got a mind very similar to mine, you'll be able to envisage it. But that was the idea, to have the counter to drop halfway along the doors, so you step inside and you're completely sheltered from the wind. Yeah, and those are changes I wanted to make, but as I say, the pot ran a little bit dry, so I've had to slow down a little bit and just use it for a few more months like it is. But I'm sure you'll agree, I'm very, very happy with how it's come on and how it's looking now. And I hope you guys like it and it inspires or sparks ideas for you to do on your own trailers or your own projects. But yeah, I'm absolutely over the moon with it. Beaming with just happiness with how it's come out. It looks absolutely spot on. I've got plenty of paint left over to give it another lick of paint if it gets tired looking. I mean, there's a splash of something here already. I was driving through some mad puddles in the Lake District, and it is a bit dirty and it is weathered, but it's going to be used. I'm going to use the crap out of it, to be honest. Something I forgot to show you is the solar panels. Before, there was one at the front and one at the back of the trailer. It's a new roof rack. Obviously you've seen it in the build video. So the idea of the new roof rack was I could fit both solar panels at the back of the trailer side by side, so it frees up the front of the roof rack for storing dirty items like burners or, you know, fire pits or whatever when I'm en route to camps and stuff. But yeah, in a nutshell, that is what I've done. I'll run in plenty of footage, aerial footage of the drone when I was driving onto this bit of land. Hey guys, I brought you back a little bit later on in my day. It's about midday now. I've fired up the EcoZoom to have some late breakfast, brunch type thing. So I'm just going to boil some water, poach some eggs, fry some bacon, do some tomatoes and some mushrooms. Just have like a mini breakfast, mini English breakfast. I do apologise if you got upset that I didn't reveal it in the last video. I know there were a few thumbs down, and I appreciate it's because I kind of left it a bit open-ended, a bit like an episode of Brookside, if you're old enough to realise what Brookside is. And yeah, I did it on purpose because I wanted you back here. I'm not going to lie, it wasn't clickbait. It was just a case of I wanted you back here. I wanted you to see what I'd done. I wanted you to see it out in the field. And I'd said in a previous video that I was gonna unveil it in the field. So I wanted to stay true to my word and unveil it in the field. So I hope you appreciate that, and I'm sorry if I did upset you. So guys, I've quickly transformed the bed back into its bench seat format, and yeah, upholstered by a local upholsterer in the village where I live. Paul, thank you very much if you're watching the videos. I'm not sure you will, but Paul did me a very good price, very good deal, and a very quick turnaround on these upholstered cushions. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that because lighting in here isn't great, but yeah, we've got one big cushion that I'm sat on, and we've got the little cushion. When I pull it out into the bed form, this bit moves with it and this bit slots down behind, which creates the bed. Yeah, and this is the chill out area. If you haven't got the awning deployed, if you will, and you haven't got the awning up and it's absolutely thrashing down, this will be just a brilliant place just to sit and read or just reflect. Place for the dog just in front of the camera on the floor. The camera fits in perfect, so we can do diaries from inside the trailer or some other ridiculous title I can think of. But yeah, this is kind of how it looks looking out from on. You're actually sat on the seat now. You're not going to be able to see because obviously it's adjusted for the light in here, but looking out onto the field over there. And yeah, this is how it looks from that angle. All my bedding. My oil lanterns live down there. Yes, it was planned. It was planned for there. When we're in transit, that area where the little fishing fireplace is, that comes out and sits there. And my camping chair, which is just there, folds up and goes in that space perfect. There's a little switch under here that lights up that area just there. And this is the switch panel that I wasn't happy with, that I was telling you about. These two are the outside switches. This one does my red light, which is just there. And this one does the big light, which is just above me here. But I'm not happy with that switch panel. I'm going to get a proper tailored one, which has the voltage meter. It has USB, it has a cigarette lighter, and it has 6 switches on as well. So I have got a few other plans. It's not finished, but it's in a place where I can use it, and I'm very, very happy with it. Oh, one more thing now I've just remembered. Carbon monoxide meter. For the guy that was commenting on Rich's video calling me a moron, I have got, and I always have had, a carbon monoxide meter, and it even tells you the temperature. It's 21 degrees today. So yeah, always had a carbon monoxide detector. It used to live over here in the middle of the cupboards, because there was 2 cupboards here, if you remember. It used to live here in the middle of the cupboards. Now it's just right by the door. So if anything's coming in through the door or anything's happening in here, it's going to pick it up. It's not massive in here because they say to have it sort of waist level or lower, but it's not. I mean, the trailers, you know, I'm sat on my bum and my head's almost touching the roof. So it's not a massive space in here. If there's carbon monoxide in here, that alarm's going to go off. But yeah, that's the inside of the trailer. That's it all converted into its chair form. I hope you have enjoyed the look around and the reveal, even though you have had to wait a week for it. Yeah, as I say, I'm more than happy with it. There are going to be a few more mods which I've discussed earlier on in the video, Right everybody, all but done. All I've got to do is pack away the awning, secure everything away and just lock her up and we're good to go. So what I'll do is I'll give you a quick time lapse of taking that down, which is going to be the shortest time lapse in the world because I can literally take that down in about 5 to 10 minutes. And then I'll just quickly show you around what the transportation phase looks like, if you will. So how I tied everything down and where everything lives just to transport it. All right guys, so here we go with the time lapse. So guys, that's where I've left the time lapse, mainly because I wanted to show you this. This is the biggest difference on the awning. I've got it on hinged brackets at the top there, so it can totally lean over like that. So if there's high winds or you're facing the wind, you don't want the wind getting under it, you can always just put the side down and it'll be just a little bit safer. Obviously the poles are just over there on the floor. And before, when you were taking these off, you really had to give them a whack to get them gone with your hand, which was quite sore because it was up this high. Now you just give it a little kick with your foot. And you pull it off, there's the one, and again, little kick with your foot, no tools required, and give it a little pull, he says that one's a little bit tighter, and that's it. Then these two, as we discussed yesterday, go into the tube on the other side of the trailer, go into the tube, then the lid goes on the tube and they're perfectly safe for transportation. Right guys, I'm just going to finish doing this and then I'll fetch you back and I'll show you it in its completed form. Wow, that sun is really beaming now. Luckily, I have just finished. Right, awning is all secure with 4 of these heavy duty Velcro straps. So that's up there. Now you can see these bits that I've attached to replace the big bar that was along the back. Now I've got 2 on the back and I've got 2 on the side at the moment, but I might well put more on there. The tube with all my bars in is secured. There's a hole drilled right through the centre and it secures this cap in place with a tent peg. Nice, rudimental, simple. Inside, a lot more storage space now the bed's like that. I don't know if you can see that because of the lighting, but I got so much more storage space. This is where all my canvas lives, apart from the awning. All the sides, all the skirts, everything, spare bits of canvas, all live in this big bag. I've got my water boiler if I'm staying for a long time and I've got a lot of dishes to do. This is all the bits I need and all the bits I love in there. Shameless plug, if you're not subscribed to this young man, go and subscribe. Bug Out Vehicles UK on the old Instagram and the Facebooks and the YouTubes. So Bug Out Vehicles UK, go and give him a cheeky sub. He's helped me out tons before, so the least I could do is give him a mention. And yeah, everything's kind of tucked away. That's where my chair went. If you can see that, my chair's just tucked away in there and these bars are just securing it in place. My table, my kitchen table goes there and the fireplace sits inside it with my tools and everything sit inside the table. So they just slide out when I get into my location. These all get zipped up. Oh, make sure my my roof vent is shut, which it is now. And then the door shuts and we're ready to roll. The kitchen, all locked down, looking a bit messy at the moment. All my wood, my cooker, my plates, fridge left open. I don't know if you can see that, just so it doesn't get all stinky. And I've got a rudimental lock there, which is just a D-shackle, sorry. A D-shackle, a stainless steel D-shackle that I use to lock it. There you go. That's locked down, ready to go. So now all that's left to do is spin the Land Rover around, hitch up and get on my merry way back to the rat race. Alright guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope the reveal is everything and more than you imagined. I love it. There's a few alterations still to do, as I've discussed earlier in the video, but it's a lot better for me now. I've made those little changes, little subtle changes. Right guys, I am dripping with sweat. I'm just going to link it up, take it back to his home, and I'm going to call the video for now. Right, I'll see you all very soon guys. You take care, and I hope you enjoyed the video.